James Ransone, everybody, let's hear it.
What's up?
We will get to this in a minute and try to get as many teasers as we can because he is starring in the sequel to It. But first, let's talk about the first.
Right, for like 30 seconds before everybody wants to talk about It.
Right, I'm just trying to keep him here, you know?
Sorry. We'll get through the show I'm on right now and then...
Which is a great show.
Oh, it is. It's awesome.
Beau Willimon, who created House of Cards.
I know. I was very fortunate that... I've known those guys for a long time. I've known, not Beau for as long as I've known the producer, Jordan Tapas, but I was really lucky that they asked me to do it. So.
How did you know Jordan Tapas?
He actually was my old manager from when I was like 20. And he's like a music background. And then he became friends with Beau, and they were making a documentary together. So when this came up, I was just literally just lucky enough for them to be like, hey, will you come, be a part of this thing?
And now in this, you are a pilot at NASA. You're sort of training to go on the next mission.
Yes.
What sort of research did you have to do going into this? Do you want to do research like that, or do you find that it's mostly in the script for you?
I've said this. I'm just like a dumb actor. I can't I'm like, someone help me with the technical. Yeah, they were. But the cool thing about the show was that we had a lot of access to NASA. We went to Houston and. Yeah, those guys were sort of like readily available if we had any questions to ask, But the thing that made it interesting for me was that when I was in, because we shoot it in New Orleans, that like when I'm going back, I'm going to go try to get my pilot's license.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why?
Just because I thought it'd be cool. I'm like, oh, I'm doing this on the show. Like, this might be cool to do on the weekends. Yeah.
Are you nervous to fly a plane on your own?
Not the flying part; it's the landing part. Yeah. That part, I think you'll die. Yeah. That's the real. No, I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be fun.
So talk about your character from the show.
Well, so my character is this guy Nick Fletcher, who has kind of a. I think his background is he was in the Coast Guard. Yeah, he was in the Coast Guard for a long time, but he's kind of like a lifer at NASA. So the whole first season. Which focuses more on Sean Penn and his character and what he's dealing with his family life. But for mine, at least for the first season, it's sort of like, will my character go or not on the first mission?
They want to cut him out. They want to cut him out of the mission, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, I think the whole, the sort of like the turn of the show is like who's gonna make it to the final crew, who goes or not. So. Yeah.
Who directed the episodes of the pilot? Because it looks really beautiful.
Agnieszka Holland.
Right.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, she's an incredible director.
Yeah, she was really awesome.
Yeah, what was it like working with her?
Great. She has the type of sensibility where I really like. She's like, that wasn't good. That wasn't funny. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, well, we'll do that better next time. Is
that what you like from a director? Someone who's just blunt and honest? You
Yes.
don't need any kind of padding or any sort of kid gloves?
Yeah. Because if you do it long enough, you're like, you just want to go home. And so
just tell me exactly what you want.
Yeah, tell me what you want, man. JoJo the Idiot Circus Boy. You want me to do the jig? Like, all right, let's go.
What is it? Is it difficult when you have someone with kid gloves? Because then you have to read between the lines and actually sort of decipher what they want?
No, but I'm like, just tell me how you want to say it. Like, I'm not. No, because actors, there's some like
really sensitive actors.
There's capital A actors. Like, you got to do this dance around them. I'm like, yeah, do you think your character might like to do this? And so.
So how do you negotiate that where one actor needs that in a scene and you don't need that and you know that it just needs you guys to be louder or funnier or something?
You just got to sit through it. Be like, all right, that's what you're going to do? Cool, But then, you just got to wait for the director to give their notes, and then it comes back, and yeah, it's a whole dance. It's a whole psychological dance.
Have you ever dealt with a director who didn't want to be blunt and wanted to do the dance with you, even though you didn't need to do it? Yeah. Whereas you'll be like, just tell me if you want me to be funnier.
Dude, look at me. Who, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not launching Titanic anytime soon. No one's worried about their Marvel franchise with me. They're like, you idiot, go do this. I'm like, okay. Yeah, no one's got to wear kid gloves with me.
But nobody's like,
dude, we'll just fire you. We don't care.
But nobody's like, James, you don't want to talk about your character? And you're like, no, I'm fine.
Oh, yeah, that has been, because then they're like, well, what are you, lazy? Like, you're not doing your homework? I'm like, no, man, just tell me what you want me to do. Yeah, I've had that before. They're like, you don't want to talk about the character? But I've found that actually usually comes from greener directors, too, especially in TV.
Who like really want to...
Yeah, they're like, let's get into it. And I'm like, no, that's cool. I already did that.
I know. I read the script.
If you want to do that, like I'll come over. And...
You know who got into it? The writers.
Yeah, totally.
We're good.
Yeah.
Just tell me where the camera is, and I'll go
like,
over there.
Is it right there? Like, okay.
Were you ever an actor in your early days? Someone who was like, who needed that kind of attention or needed to do those things?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's be like a really insecure profession at times, and so you don't realize that you kind of like throw your psychological weight around by like making a lot of noise. You know, it's like very childlike profession. It's like I'll bang on the drum until someone pays attention to me. It's like you don't need to do that.
And if there's something happening around you that makes you uncomfortable or vulnerable in a way that you don't want to be vulnerable while you're acting, that's when you bang on the drum even harder.
I mean, it's such a double-edged sword, man, because I've seen it go so many directions where if an actor is being, you know, like actors also get thrown in under the bus really quickly when anything goes wrong on set. That's always the part that drives me crazy.
In what way?
Just like, you know, the attention is really focused on these people because they're the ones that are in front of the camera. But then if something goes wrong, technically, if you know, it's a really intense job and people fight a lot. And so I usually tend to find that sometimes actors get blamed for stuff that's not always their fault.
Well, right. Something might not track in the writing, or the director might be given a direction that doesn't necessarily track with the writing, and an actor suddenly says, "Hold on, can we talk about this?" And the crew suddenly looks to that actor, slowing things down.
Or a producer. Yeah, you know, you'll usually see with like a producer, like he's just being really difficult. It's like, well, they're kind of making a valid point, you know.
Right.
So
yeah, that's true. Actors are often thrown under the bus a lot, even though they are the ones kind of in the most vulnerable position.
At the same time, it's also like
it's a cushy job.
Yeah, but not only that, but I see stuff where I'm like, oh, dude, just say the lines. Say the lines.
Stop asking questions.
I just don't think I'd put this here. It's like, I need to talk about that for like a half an hour. So
Really?
Yes.
How was Sean Penn and working with Sean Penn?
Not any of those things. Yeah, and I know that's like the worst. Thanks, that was the worst segue you've ever given me. No, what was cool about him, and I mean this, is that because I think he won, but he's got nominated for Academy Awards for directing, right? And so he
directed some truly great movies.
Right. So he has this really tectonic level of patience even for other directors that I could see that were like struggling. And that I was like, man, that's really impressive that he had the bandwidth to be able to be an actor and sit through it and take direction that maybe he didn't agree with and go like, okay, like I see how that makes sense, you know?
Right. Yeah. Sort of being able to know that something's probably not going to work, but do it anyway so that the person can see why it doesn't work rather than just be told that it won't work.
Yeah.
That's really hard for an actor to do.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because I was telling you that before. I would do stuff where I'd be like, that's stupid. I don't want to do that. And be like, all right, this is your movie. I can't. Whatever. However you want to do it, you know?
Let's talk about this sequel that everyone's super excited about. Were you a fan of the first movie? Are you a fan of the book?
I was a fan of the miniseries when I was a kid. Yeah. I know, I'm a fan of the book too, but I really like Tim Curry.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? The thing that's a real bummer about the miniseries was that the second half isn't so good. When the adults come in for the miniseries.
So are you worried about your
Yeah,
half
I was like, are we
stuff?
ever going to be able to launch this ship?
So it's you, it's Bill Hader, it's Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy, right?
Jay Ryan and Isaiah Mustafa playing Ben Hanscom and Mike. I'm sorry, I don't know the character's last name, but yes, that rounds out the cast, all six of us.
And what has it been like shooting? You've been shooting all summer, right?
Yeah, I got there in mid-June, and I have to go back tomorrow to Toronto.
For how long?
I have 3 more days left. I finish up on Wednesday.
What does that shoot look like? I mean, the first one was a pretty big budget horror movie, which we never get. I imagine the sequel.
This is bigger.
This is bigger. So what is a horror movie? Because you've done horror movies. You've done Blumhouse and low budget horror movies.
This is not like a horror movie. This is like gigantic, massive studio, huge set pieces. You know, like. Wow. This, you know, there were sets where it was like the size of a football field that were totally made, art directed. You know, I'm like, gee, this is incredible.
Had you been on something like that before?
Not that big.
What's the biggest you've been on before that?
As far as budget wise, nothing. Because it's been even the stuff that I was on that was pretty big. I mean, the production value on this show is actually pretty impressive. But the weird thing about it is that we didn't do that much green screen stuff. Most of it was practical.
And on it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Most of it was practical. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of CGI to get done after the fact, but we barely did any green screen stuff.
And how does Bill Skarsgård get through the day in that makeup?
I don't know, man. He has got the patience of a monk. If it was me, I couldn't. I told him that, man. Yeah, and I heard that he would do stuff on the first one where they would bring him in at like 5 a.m, and then he would get made up, and then he'd sit there all day, and then there would be days where they didn't get to him. They'd be like, okay, you can go home now. Like, take it all off.
So you were in the second season of The Wire.
Yes.
Right? You played Ziggy.
As far as I remember.
It's one of my favorite seasons of The Wire. I mean, I know there's only 5.
You're like
really,
only one of 3 people in the world who's ever said that.
2 and 4 are my favorites.
Okay.
4 because it's about the kids, and 2 because it's about the docks, and it's about the white working class, which is something that's totally unexpected for that series in terms of a direction to go in. And it proves a larger point about the whole show. But currently the Deuce is running, which is David Simon's other show.
Which Chris Bauer, who played my dad on The Wire, is on.
And he's great.
Yes, he's awesome.
Has anyone talked to you about being on the Deuce?
No.
Because
why would they talk to me? Like,
I don't know. You seem like you should be on it.
All right, now take me. Now multiply the handsome by like 50. That's James Franco. Like, why does David Simon need me on that?
I'm not saying you have to play James Franco's part. I'm saying there's another part.
It would just they'd be like, wait, this is better.
You think the two of you are too similar?
No, I did not say that,
I
Ricky.
didn't know what you were saying.
I did not say that. I said, like, when you...
I think you would fit in that time very well.
Okay, I'm like the deli coffee when it's like you can go get the nice latte with the guy in the hat. That's like $7. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I thought you were
They
saying...
already got the top shelf stuff, man. They don't need me.
I thought you were saying that you're going to be a guy who serves deli coffee in the show. Like, to James Franco.
Yeah,
here you go,
I'm gonna email
sir.
Dave Simon. Be like, I'll take anything, man, anything.
I had a feeling when I was watching that show that since you'd worked with them before and since it felt like a world that you as an actor would fit very well in.
So I think there's a guy, his name is, I haven't watched this show. I watched a couple of episodes of it last year, and just because I've been traveling so much, but there's a guy named Chris Coy on that show, I think. Mm-hmm. I forget what he plays, but it's funny because him and I used to, I would always be against him for other stuff too. So I think.
Really?
Yeah.
So he got the part.
Yeah. I just, And David Simon, he got a great deal on James Franco. 2 characters, price of 1.
Yeah, that's true. He really did get a good
Have you been
deal
watching
there.
the second season, though?
Yeah.
Is it good?
It's great. It's great. It surpasses the first.
Yeah, I really like that one, the really mean pimp character on. He was really interesting to me.
Cece, or his character's name is Cece, right? He's the one that cuts the.
Yeah, is that the one? That was the one from last. I was that was the story point where I was like, okay, this is interesting.
He's fantastic, and they do really great stuff with the pimps in this season because it jumps 5 years, and so now the porn world is kind of taken over, and there are managers stepping in to take care of the actresses. So it's sort of pushing the pimps out of place, and it's disrupting their sort of economic world.
Yeah.
And they're becoming really insecure and kind of like little boys in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so not too dissimilar from what's actually happening with like Hollywood right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I like it better than the first season, but yeah, I like that show a lot. It's great.
Yeah. Here's the secret about me, Ricky. I got rid of my TV a couple of years ago.
Oh, I watch stuff on my laptop now.
But I guess
as infrequently as possible. My TV's in my trunk.
I saw 2. I've only seen 2 movies this year. I haven't watched anything yet.
What have you seen?
I saw Hereditary.
Did you like?
I did.
Okay.
A great deal. That movie ruffled my feathers for a couple of days. I thought about that movie the next day. I really liked it. And I also saw, I just saw that Free Solo.
Amazing.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
You know what, man? You know what I thought? I thought if I have kids one day, I'm going to be really terrible to them because then they'll do something. You know what I mean? Like everybody wants to advocate for being a good parent. That guy was like, he didn't get hugged by his dad. And then he climbs El Capitan with no ropes because his dad didn't hug him.
Free Solo is the good First Man this year. It's the good version of First Man.
What was First Man?
It's the Damien Chazelle Moon movie.
Oh, right. Was that not good?
Okay.
Really?
Free Solo's like kind of it's like they're both about like a man training with like a singular mission in mind and will sacrifice anything to do it.
Yeah, I really like that movie though because there is the interesting question about Free Solo, which I thought was so cool, is like there's a line between doing something for personal or for greatness in the world, and then there's another line that you cross when it's like you're being sort of pathological about some issues that you have not resolved yet. And that's so fascinating to me, right? It's like, because he still did it, right? But he did it as a result of having a not so hot childhood.
Yeah.
So hot, you know, that was a really fascinating. And then just
Also, not being able to connect with people on a certain level.
right. I mean, when he was like, I learned to hug when I was 24. You're like, okay, yeah.
He's also got like Zuckerberg eyes as well, you know, a little bit.
He looks more like Kate Blanchett in Lord of the Rings to me.
Fair, yeah.
He's more elvish to me. He's not. He doesn't have like Zuckerberg's like dead eyes, where it's like, where's Zuckerberg's programmer? Like,
Right.
Honnold's got some soul in there.
Oh, I agree. I love the scene in particular where he fails at climbing El Capitan the first time, and he goes and talks to like his climbing mentor, and
It's just another free climber. Yeah, and
the climbing mentor is kind of like, okay, man, okay, because it's clear that like he's so ruffled and messed up from not having succeeded.
So I got a different thing than that scene than you got. I got that other guy was like, get these cameras away from here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, from working around movies and stuff, like I can tell when people are really sensitive to being filmed. And I think that they were like, why are you... Because the whole point of that movie, too, is that it's like, why are you... What is the point of you getting filmed for this?
Yeah.
You know? Like, what's that mean? Because none of those guys... Because it's free solo. It's about something you do completely alone.
Yeah. You think the mentor wanted the cameras
Yeah,
out of
I
there?
think the mentor guy, it wasn't...
that's so
I think he was just... being really sort of like playing everything close to the chest because he was so aware that there was a camera right there. He's like, dude, what are you doing? I think to Honnold, I think that read more to me that he was thinking, why are these cameras here?
Oh, that's so fascinating. I read it as like sort of talking to someone with combat shock or something, where you're sort of waiting for them to calm a little bit and then you can approach the situation.
No, I
but
think,
you might be right.
I think just because they're all kind of like so reconciled to dying from their profession too. Like, well, it's probably the odds of it happening are, you know.
What do you got? What do you got coming up after it?
I think that I'm going back to this.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I think so, as far as I know, and then I think that starts sometime next year. They've been trying to squeeze another genre movie in after that, but then, you know, I don't know.
Squeeze a genre movie in? What does that mean?
It's like, I think I'm gonna film. I think I'm gonna do this kind of like psychological horror movie in New Orleans in the beginning of the year that I don't really know that much about.
With anyone that we...
No, that stuff's so early right now.
Right.
I think that's what, I don't know. But then I go back to this in the spring and then it comes out in September.
And you'll be doing a lot of press for it, I imagine.
You'll
be back.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm like, I like my cushy little indie movie.
You can come back with the cast of it, and I'll be here.
Yeah, I'll talk. Hey guys.
And you can say, no, don't worry, Ricky's really nice.
Yeah, that's what I'll tell them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I have to prove myself to them all the time that I'm nice.
Wow, you're like Alex Honnold, but I want to talk.
I'm free soloing all my
I could do this
conversations.
without a microphone.
I do it without the celebrities. They don't have to be here. They don't have to be here.
He loves you. Your dad loves you.
I haven't talked to him in a few weeks. We got into an argument about politics. Oh, God. Those go
You know what,
away.
man? No. This season of the America show sucks when it canceled. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, who's going to fix my potholes? I just turned the whole thing off. I'm like, I got this show. I'm done with this show.
Yeah, the Kanye thing yesterday was like, please shut this show off.
Just turn it off. Stop paying attention to it. Everything's fine. It's
Is that
like,
why you got rid of your television?
that was part of it. Honestly, you want me to? I will not talk about politics with anyone unless it's like personal. I can really hear the other person's point of view. But a year and a half ago, I got really sort of like, I was like, why is my phone and the TV convincing me that there's a civil war happening or that it's about to break out or everybody's so. And so you know what I did? I packed up all of my stuff by myself and I put my dog in my truck and I drove across country alone. And I didn't see any of that. I saw a lot of poor people who were worried about like paying their mortgage, who were like really over leveraged. They didn't really care about politics. Mm-hmm. So you have to go with what you're experiencing in density. So that's a rumor. You know what I mean? And so it's a really hard thing to do, right, in practice. But if you can try to cultivate that every time you look at your phone or you look at a TV, you're like, I'm not there for this firsthand, so I can't trust this 100% of what it's saying. And so, like, what are you experiencing in your day-to-day life? And I learned that from driving across country and meeting a lot of people who were like, having a hard time, man, that politics didn't have anything to do with.
Where did you go? Where did you drive?
So I did the northern route for the first, and then I did the southern route on the second. So I went like Nevada, Utah, Colorado, across, and then all through the Rust Belt. And, things were really rough in Ohio, and I met like all these.
Ohio's pretty tough right now.
Yeah, it was really rough in Ohio, and then I met like a bunch of people in Ohio, and I remember I was like eating some diner, and like this actually happened, and then my waitress was crying. Like I saw her crying, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go say something. I was like, are you okay? And she was like, my dad's in the hospital and dying. And I was like, wait, all this stuff on the TV just doesn't matter. This is so stupid. And the division, you know what I mean?
Well, so much of it is to distract us from those things.
Yeah,
that do
totally. So
matter.
to have those conversations, be like, oh, that human being's just like me.
And to create a conversation around politics that isn't actually centered around the politics that is affecting people's daily lives, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what did Kanye say in The Office has nothing to do with the actual policies that are affecting people's
But
day-to-day
you know
lives.
that comedian Bill Hicks?
Yeah, of course.
Bill Hicks had a bit in the early 90s. He was talking about watching CNN. He's like, CNN, every time you turn it on, it's like war, famine, death. He's like, I look out my window and all I hear are crickets, And that was kind of what I experienced after doing that trip, which was like, yeah, I see all of this stuff on a screen, but I don't necessarily see it in my day-to-day life. That doesn't mean that people aren't suffering.
Right.
So if they're suffering, it's my responsibility to be like, are you all right? Like, how can I help you once I recognize it? But I don't want to argue about that. That's super lame, and that's what they super want us to do. Like, they want you and your dad all mad at each other. Oh, the president. That dude was on WWF. Like, they're rubbing our faces in it.
If it wasn't the president, Dad and I would be mad at each other about something.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
just us,
He loves you, Ricky.
Stop.
Just fucking hug him.
Just stop.
Sorry, excuse me. Just hug your dad.
All right. Dad, I'll text you later today. Don't worry.
See?
I'll call you. I'll call you later today.
I'm like Dr. Phil.
You did it, James.
Thank you.
Look at that. The first is on Hulu right now. It
Yeah.
is coming out, next summer?
September
2020. 2019.
No, September 2019. I think first or second week, something like whichever way they can maximize profits.
They're going to love you doing press for
Oh yeah, they already hate me.
Yeah, they're
I'm
going
on
to love that.
Yeah, I'm like on a do not call list for
We
them.
need to have James on the stage with them.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being here, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, man.